Playtime is over. Get your Prepared Mind merchandise at thepreparedmind.club. Help keep free speech free and spread the word about the need to prep. Good evening and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Today we're going to talk about shit hits the fan. Where are we at? Right? There's a lot of different ways we've discussed things going bad. We've been discussing current events, talking and sharing different ideas and opinions. Well, I wanted to get to this because we haven't talked about it much lately. I've been watching and watching and watching. So, we've got politics, we got disaster, terror, social chaos and disruption, etc., etc. But for this video, we're going to break it down. We're going to get into economics. Economics shit is the fan. Where are we at? Let's find out. Okay, so where are we at? Economics. The way I wanted to lay this out is there's a bit of a timeline to what's been going on. Shit hitting the fan is not developing in the last month or even in the last decade. It's been coming for decades and decades. For this particular economic political paradigm, it goes back to about the time I was born, 1971, right? That's when we came off the gold standard. We went onto the petrodollar, and the government and central banks have been playing games and manipulating things, trying to keep their system alive. But they've been failing because they suck, and you just really can't do what they're doing. It's been tried time and again, and every time they try this particular formula, it fails. So let's look at what has been happening, where we're at, and where it is going. And we'll get all the way up to current events. But we need to stop and go back in history. We had the dot-com crash. That was back in 2000. What caused that, what precipitated it, was a change in policy by our good buddy, Alan Greenspan. Is it Alan Greenspan? Alan Greenspan. Federal chairman, board, big boss, big dog, Federal Reserve chairman, right? He was the big man. Anyways, Mr. Greenspan, what did he do? He started lowering rates pre-2000, back in the 90s. And what did people do? Well, they didn't want to leave their money in a bank, right? Making low interest, so they started sending it to Wall Street, started causing the bubble, right? And when we had the dot-com crash, the dot-com bubble, and what was done to help get us out? At that time, our economy was not in horrifyingly bad shape. So how did they get us out of that? The event was the dot-com crash. The fix or the action was tax cuts. I remember under President W. Bush, right, we got some interesting tax cuts. And then we were told, go out and spend, right? Because we were no longer in an industrial economy. We had moved into a service economy, a retail economy. So what happened as a result of this action, the tax cuts fix? What did it cause? It caused big bubbles to be made, blown, right? Housing, banking, investment derivatives, Wall Street crash, right? Inflation. It started blowing up, right? So we had, as a result of that, we had our 2008 stock market crash. That bubble was huge. 2007, it started to go. 2008, it was announced. Remember that. 18 months from the time it started, the recession, till it blew. Pop. Exploded, sucked, right at the presidential election. What was the solution, though? TARP, right? TARP money. I think it was $800 billion or $1 trillion. It was way the fuck up there. It was an unheard of, unprecedented amount of cash that was thrown at the banks to save them because, if you remember the expression, they were too big to fail. It's not that they were too big to fail. They were so big that we just couldn't allow them to fail because What would have failed? Right? That wouldn't just be Lehman Brothers, right? It was going to be Citibank. It was going to be Chase. It was going to be JP Morgan. It was going to be General Motors. It was going to be General Electric. It was going to be, everything was going to crash. So they threw all this money at it and bailed them out. It was literally a bailout. So what was the consequence of that fix and that action? TARP resulted in what? Well, we had the crash. TARP didn't save anything, and it rolled us on into that recession. So what was the action? What was the fix for the recession that resulted after the big buyout, the big bailout? Well, we needed to do what? Quantitative easing, which is essentially more money. Quantitative easing came in 3 phases, 1, 2, 3, and it really never stopped. They've been playing these fucking games with us with something called the Exchange Stabilization Fund, and the Plunge Protection Team, and they've even come out and admitted that these things exist. So, the recession resulted in the use of QE 1, 2, and 3. What did that produce? What did it produce? The longest and weakest recovery ever. Right? It is such a weak recovery that what? What about this recovery have we noted? It doesn't matter how much money was thrown at them, right? As soon as they try raising interest rates, it starts sputtering. We're already seeing companies in big trouble. Companies have become zombie corporations. That is, they borrow more money every year than they make and pay back. So they go deeper and deeper in debt. Nations are going deeper and deeper in debt. So, let's fast forward to the beginning of 2018, last year, just over 1 year ago. Imagine that. Just over 1 year ago, 14 months ago, 15 months ago, we dealt with the 2018 February New York Stock Exchange correction. It was such a significant correction that I pulled out all the charts and said, holy shit, it is 6 to 18 months away based on 2008, based on 1987, based on the dot-com crash, and based on 1929. So I spread out different crashes across the spectrum of Federal Reserve crashes and came up with that. 6 to 18 months, we're going to see the market completely dissolve. Right? So, right, their correction, what was their solution as a result of the event, the February 2018 New York Stock Exchange 20% correction, or whatever that percentage was? It resulted in the Exchange Stabilization Fund, the Plunge Protection Team being brought in. Now, fascinating. I said, oh shit, we got at least 6 months, probably closer to 18, but 6 months, which would have been the fall, would have been perfect timing, completely plausible based on, right, that New York Stock Exchange correction in February of 2018. But interestingly, after that, they started quantitative tightening, raising the interest rates. Why the fuck would they do that, knowing the economy was in such bad shape? The only logical conclusion was that they needed to raise interest rates as quickly as they could so that they would have a way, if we had more problems, to drop them real fast, right? To have some ammunition. This was the only, and it's still rather illogical, but at least it explains why they would pump more cash with the Exchange Stabilization Fund and Plunge Protection Team in, and quantitative tightening and raise interest rates at the same time. Well, they tried it. That was their fix. That was their action after the February 8. We got to our midterm elections, right? Put in a Democrat House. And as a result of that fix in the action, right, pumping more cash, selling back their assets. That is the, their balance sheet. In other words, all the junk that the Federal Reserve bought, which we promised to pay them back for, they bought at this level and they're selling it at the top of the market. We had a crash. They bought all that shit. Now the market's back up here and they've been selling it back. What do you think that means? We're buying back their shit. right? Their crap that they caused way up here with these bubbles. We're buying that crap back again. Again, we're paying for shit they've sold us. The banks, the Federal Reserve, the government. So, here we are, right? We got through the midterm elections. They did all of this. And then whammo. Fucking whammo, right? 10 months into the major correction that historically showed an absolute total market meltdown. 1929 crash, 87, 2000, 2008. Those crashes all had this same formula. And we called it the 2018 December crash. But something mysterious happened. I mean, it was tanking. Every day, down, 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 down. The whole month of December. What happened? Christmas Eve. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, on vacation in Mexico for Christmas, calls the 6 major banks in this country, labels them, calls them the plunge protection team in the media, and makes them say, yes, we're going to bail it out, right? Meaning the plunge protection team is going to come in, they're going to throw in a bunch of this exchange stabilization cash they have, that they're, who knows what they're doing with, how they got it, right? I don't have all the specifics, I just have some ideas. And my idea is that they were brought in. They were told, if you don't fucking fix this, it's my guess, we're going to let you crash. You're going to be the fall guy. Do you think JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon want to be the fall guy? You think Citibank, Wells Fargo, American Bank of America, you think they want to be blamed for the crash? Right. Finger pointing was going to start. So lo and behold, they came in and they did what? They propped it up again. At the end of December 2018, right, they stopped the crash with the plunge protection team. And where are we sitting right now? That's the big question. Well, where did they fix it? Right? This was the event. This was the action. The event, the action. And it leads someplace. Every time it leads. So, we now have the everything bubble. Debt. We have personal debt, national debt or government debt, corporate debt, zombie corporations. The country itself, the United States of America, as a country, as a people, the government cannot work its way out of the debt. We are now completely screwed, right? Right. If you owe more than you make, it's beyond. I think we're at 150% of GDP with our debt, and that is just the proclaimed or admitted or confessed debt, not counting all of their secret debt and black debt, right? Meaning the debt that's hidden from us that we don't know about, we're not allowed to know. Anyways, we got the everything bubble, right? So what is going on with this debt, auto debt, right? The consumers, the auto industry, housing, the construction industry, and the retail or real estate agent and buying industry. The bond yield inversion, meaning in order to finance their debts, the government has got the entire system upside down because they're trying to get quick cash. Means they've got lower tax revenue. They are screwed, right? So what we've got right now going on at this very moment, today, is we have a silent crash. It's silent. I've been talking to a couple of people that I consider to be experts, and they've said, it's quiet. What is going on? Well, we have heard some things come out of the mouths of babes, right? Right? We've been told that there's some weakness there. China's screwed, and Europe, they're in the middle of Europe is in the middle or the beginnings of their recession, but the U.S., we're just a little weak. So what we're going to do, they decided, Federal Reserve Chairman, right? They make it sound all gentle and cute, but what did he do? He slammed the fucking brakes on. No more rate increases. We're not doing it. Right? No more rate increases. So we're going to stop the quantitative tightening, right? And then the next week, what happens? President Trump comes out, starts trying to appoint people to the Federal Reserve boards, people that are willing, wanting, demanding, claiming that they want to what? They want QE back. They want to lower the rates. Well, in order to get us out of this trouble, way back here in 2008, they dropped the rates from 5.5% basically to zero. But they were only able to raise them with this quantitative program here after 2018, February. They were only to raise them to 2.5%. They only got half the ammunition to dump the interest rate to promote and stimulate more business again. Well, they don't, in other words, they don't have the ammunition. They don't have the bullets. We're already in debt, right? There's too much fucking debt going on here. So we have weakness. They're stopping QT. Quantitative easing is coming. Now, this particular step, this weakness step, it was predicted by Pinto and some others that we would go into a deflationary period. That is, prices would drop, but the economy would still be sucking hind tit, right? So they have actually fast forwarded the what the hell is going to happen next plan. They've speeded it up, right? For a long time, we've been going, yeah, look at all this shit. It's taken forever to get from the 2008 to 2018, a decade to get from there to here. But all of a sudden, they seem to be in a big fucking hurry. It's because of the weakness, because there's a silent crash going on within the economy. So they're turning the deflation into inflation. How are they going to do that? Well, in order to do this quantitative tightening, they pulled $1 trillion out of the economy, ran it through a shredder, and it's gone. Okay, so we have less liquidity. What did Mnuchin want from the banks back at Christmas in December? He wanted a guarantee from them that they have liquidity. Oh, yeah, we've got all the liquidity in the world. Don't you worry about it. Everything's A-okay. Look, what's that over there? And they run off with a bag of money. You know, that's how they do this shit. So what is the answer? Well, if we're going to do QE, that is more printing. What is that going to lead to? The big inflation, the stagflation, a slow economy with lots of cash, stagflation. Now let's back up again. Let's go all the way back to 1971. They took us off the gold standard. They gave us fiat money. The instant reaction was inflation. Right? They started printing a bunch of it. They had economic problems. They switched us from one paradigm, the gold standard, or gold-backed currency, over to fiat, the petrodollar. And we've been running on that. And as we go through time, we're going through more and more debt. We did not have a huge national debt, by the way, until 1971. Go look at the growth. It's very flat. And then 1971, it ticks up, and then it starts to go up. And now we are going parabolic, straight up. Right? That is what is happening, and that's what we're looking forward to. Guess what? That's also known and leads to, historically, hyperinflation. Their solution is to print more money. Every time it's tried, every time it fails. Every fucking time. No one has ever gone into hyperinflation and fixed all their problems miraculously. Never, ever, ever has it happened. No one has ever inflated their problems away. It destroys businesses. It absolutely decimates the middle class. And there has never been a successful, peaceful, good economy that didn't have a strong and even burgeoning middle class. If you want a strong country, a sound and solid economy, you need a healthy, robust middle class. What destroys middle class? Fucking inflation. What is their next move? What is their only move? They can't lower the interest rates. They will, but how far can they go? Well, you know, here's zero. We're going to drop to zero. Fuck that. They want to go to negative interest rates? What? Negative interest rates? How does that help us? Does that mean that if I borrow money, they're going to not only loan me the money, but they're going to pay me on top of that? No, fuck no. When you borrow something, the interest rates are up higher, right? How can the prime rate be 2.5%, but I'm paying 10, 12, 15% on my credit card? That's right, you, Jolene America, Jolene six-pack, you get to pay real interest, but if you keep your money in a bank, guess what happens? You pay them to keep your money in a bank. Not to mention the fact that there's inflation Why would you keep cash around if it's going to lose 5, 10, 15% annually? In the late 70s, early 80s, the interest rate got up to 20%, as high as 22%. It just depends on what's going on. Anyways, that's what people paid. Can you fucking imagine paying 20% to get a car loan while the money you have in the bank gets taken not just by inflation, but by the banks themselves, charging you interest to keep your money in their fucking institution that they're going to take and send to Wall Street and try and inflate the market again. See, that's what this will be about. Printing money. It's not to fix the economy. It's to give money to everybody, and they go out and buy more shit, and they pay a bunch of taxes, and these banks steal it all through their interest schemes, their loan schemes. But it's to inflate the stock market. We don't have a real economy anymore. We have a stock market economy. Trump keeps pointing at it because that's all he's got. Good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. That's all he's got now, is to point at the stock market and go, look at that. We're at all-time highs. Look at that. Guess what? If it's at an all-time high, I'm selling that shit. Who the fuck wants stock at an all-time high? Because at some point, could be tomorrow, could be next month, it's going to just disappear and evaporate. Huge wealth transfer once again. Wealth transfer on the stock market. Wealth transfer at the bank. Wealth transfer when you buy stuff. Wealth transfer through inflation. We are getting fucked. Period. And it's not just the US. It's Australia. It's Canada. It's Britain. It's the European continent. It's China. It's Japan. Did I say Japan? It's everybody is going to go into this because it's no longer an isolated thing. It's no longer, well, let's pick a country here. Hungary or Zimbabwe or Argentina is having problems and the world just kind of sneezes. No, there was a world depression because of 1929, right? The US, we were tied to Europe enough and then it affected everything. Now, it's not just that we're like cousins. It's like all the countries are a bunch of incestuous, pornographic kissing cousins. They're so busy screwing each other that they've just absolutely screwed the whole system up. Thank you, banks. Thank you, international corporations. Thank you, greedy, corrupt politicians. Thank you to the Illuminati. Thank you, guys. You just fucking killed the golden goose, and we're just months away. Some people go, well, it's already starting. I say it already has started. I say the crash already happened in December. Can they kick the can down the road? How long can they kick the can down the road? How high, how far? We'll see, won't we? We don't have a fucking choice. Where are you going to go? You're going to go live on Mars, on Venus, the moon? Well, Ocasio-Cortez says you can go to the sun, you just have to go there at night. It's not so hot, right? I couldn't leave that one alone. What a nitwit. Okay, but she is representative of the attitude and intelligence of people who are running the fucking show. Who am I? I'm just a developer, a contractor. I'm just a businessman, regular guy, and I can figure this shit out. I can listen to a few experts and figure this stuff out, but they can't. Incredible. I'm telling you, folks, get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Get your plan. Know what the fuck is going on in the 10 miles around you. Do it. Understand it. Get yourself in better physical shape. I'm doing that. By the way, the sweat fat suit is working pretty well. Someone today said, John, you look like you've lost a little weight. I said, geez, thanks. I'm doing what I can to get into better shape because we're going to need it. We're going to need it when shit hits the fan. I mean, we're going to have probably food shortages if we have a shit hits the fan light. We're going to have other health-related issues. You're going to need to be in good physical shape to help deal with the stresses of what's going to happen. Our minds, our bodies, right? Have a good store of vitamins, minerals, right? Be sure to take care of yourselves, right? You can't live on a diet of wild rice and dandelions. Can't do it. Right? So be well prepared. Think about what's going on. And most of all, I want to thank you guys for supporting the Prepared Mind channel. We've had a good time doing this as much as we can have a good time. At the same time, it is just a shitstorm that is coming. Shitstorm that's coming. So you guys keep watching, keep sending your thoughts, sharing with others, trying to get people to prepare. We don't have any choice, right? They have set the table. It's not 5 years ago or 10 years ago. They started this a long fucking time ago. I went back to 71 to use that as an example of the currency paradigm. You can go all the way back to when? 1913. When they passed illegally, unconstitutionally, the Federal Reserve Act, 16th Amendment. They started the game. They started screwing us over. Doing what? Destroying the middle class by destroying the currency. And here we are today. Here we are. Do your very best. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed to you. Get prepared. Semper Fi.